Hello, you're watching Sky News, the top stories. The Syrian army has reportedly arrested a large number of gunmen following new clashes in the country. It comes as the Foreign Secretary tells Sky News there is no prospect of pushing through a Libya-style UN resolution. The Department of Health is preparing to make substantial changes to NHS reforms in England. And David Miliband has refuted claims he is feuding with his brother, saying he stands behind him, and so should everyone else. The relentless crackdown on protesters in Syria is taking its toll as thousands of people continue to flee the country. The violence has been condemned by countries across the world, but so far they've just spoken words and taken no action. Well, joining us now is Syria Al-Makhadhi, who's a British Arab journalist. Syria, thank you for coming in.
Good afternoon.
Let's talk about the international, the diplomacy first, and the Foreign Secretary here saying there is no prospect of a Libya-style UN resolution. We've heard words from some UN countries, but they know it's going to be vetoed by Russia if they do try and do anything. What sort of need does the Syria people feel, or these protesters feel, there is in the UN community getting involved?
I think you have to look at what this nascent opposition movement has been saying. They gathered in Turkey a few weeks ago, and what they were saying was that they firmly reject any kind of Libya-style military intervention. They're dead set against this. So at the moment, it seems the Syrian people are willing to push through in this protest movement themselves. They see this as a grassroots uprising. They don't want the international community to get involved and kind of discredit what they feel is their ownership of this movement.
So strong words are enough at this stage?
It seems to be. It seems that they're happy with this condemnation, but they don't want any military involvement.
Syria, you're a British Arab journalist. We watch pictures from Syria, but very few of us can really be sure about what is happening on the ground. How frustrating is that for you, and how frustrating is that for the people that you deal with who are in Syria?
You know, the government really has shot itself in the foot by prohibiting international journalists into Syria, because what they're doing is now pushing out this state media which has kind of been discredited. No one really believes what the state media says anymore. And on the other hand, you've got these activists around the world, mainly expat Syrians, who are controlling the activist message, taking these YouTube videos out of Syria. So we're getting a very limited picture of what's going on. What we know of what's going on in Jisr al-Shuhur in the north, where this army movement has taken place, is that there seems to be a massive military presence. Villagers were given almost a week's notice that this was going to happen. They've fled across the border into Turkey or are hiding in the hills around the village. It seems that this is bigger than anything that's happened in Syria before, and a week ago the government admitted that it had lost more than 100 troops. So it seems that there is something big going on there.
I don't understand, Syria. It's a tiny village. All the people have left. Why is it important to the Syrian forces? And, by the way, the Syrian state TV claiming that it is arresting armed gangs there.
This armed gang allegations, these seem to be gaining traction in Syria. Until now, we'd heard that there were foreign fighters, infiltrators, Islamists across the country. No one really believed it. I think something different's going on in Jisr al-Shuhur, because in the 1980s there was a Muslim Brotherhood. This is an Islamist group which was banned by the state. They rose up in large parts of the country. Jisr al-Shuhur, this tiny village in the north near the border with Turkey, is one of the places that they rose up and were brutally put down by the army. So I think people are willing to believe, whether it's true or not, that the government is putting down an armed rebellion in that northern village now.
OK, very interesting. Syria, thank you for coming in and talking to us. Australia's Prime Minister